You're listening to the 3-Point Conversion.
All right. Well, anyway, with the division leader,
my Atlanta Falcons rise up, my favorite team. But with saying that, they did end the year at 7-9 last year, still second, but the record doesn't even show how bad they were last year because they went on probably a 3 to 4 game winning streak at the very end of the season just to make it that 7-9. They've been in the slump, of course, since the Super Bowl, but hopefully they can get out of that. Their head coach is Dan Quinn. Arthur Blank loves him very much and gave him an opportunity to stay because a lot of people thought he might even be gone last year, after this year, and this past year. But Arthur Blank loves him.
You love Dan Quinn? You love Dan Quinn? Say it again so I can hear you.
He loved Dan Quinn.
Drink up, Andrew.
Cheers, Dan Quinn.
I don't know what you fellas got going on, man.
Yeah, so just to interrupt, Kwesi, sorry. Andrew and myself had a bet that Kwesi, because he's a Falcons fan, as soon as he mentioned Dan Quinn, within 10 seconds, he would mention how that dude should be fired. And I said you wouldn't, not within 10 seconds. And Andrew chose the under, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's definitely still there, man. I'm surprised, but Dan Quinn, Arthur Blank loves him, though. But the offensive coordinator is Dirk Koetter. He's from Tampa Bay. Actually, he was in Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they got him. They picked him up, I guess, because of he was one of the tops in offense. But that's when they had Doug Martin and had a great rushing offense. And so to bring that to Atlanta, I never was a big fan of that. They have a huge weapon in their wide receivers, and I think I've spoke to you guys before where I've always liked the style of the Pittsburgh Steelers where, you had when they had Antonio Brown, they always seem to get him open. This is the top wide receiver in the game in the sense that Antonio Brown, and he would still end up being wide open a lot of the times. So the schemes that they use, I would love to see them with the Falcons, but it seems as if this offense coordinator wants to go more towards running, even though our hugest weapons are at wide receiver. Defense, we have Raheem Morris, great guy, but he's strong in the secondary. And we've always had a top secondary too. Keanu Neal is one of our top guys, but he constantly gets hurt a lot. But I think they are trying to incorporate more of linebackers and edge rushers, so I can see that, and hopefully that will come soon. But our secondary has always been very solid. They've got to find a way to get Julio Jones the ball. First of all, he's our main guy. And with Calvin Ridley, his growth over the past couple of years, hopefully that's going to open up the field. That should open up the field more for him. I do definitely think that's one of the reasons why Hooper had a great year last year, because with Ridley's growth and Julio, it just opened up the field in the middle a lot for Hooper to grow and excel during last year. One thing that was stifled, though, is our running game. Devontae Freeman had one of his worst years, but they have spoke of releasing him before March. And that's going to save us $3.5 million on our cap, in which our cap, we are, just like the New Orleans Saints, very cap stricken. So I don't think we'll get anyone from free agency. We will have to go through the draft to get some guys. And hopefully within our draft, we got 3 picks in the second day of the draft. So with that, I know they're thinking about getting a running back. I think it's Taylor from Wisconsin, and which was a stud last year, but he did run the ball a lot, And I'm saying that because we know how wear and tear it is on the running backs. But he was a stud, especially early part of last year. He was almost unstoppable. I think he almost got 100 yards the first 6 games of the season easily in every game. So he was a stud. But I think they are looking more at Cam Akers from Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him going up the charts a lot, and as a rookie. And again, maybe once this combine happens, that would kind of separate him. And because I definitely think they'll pick him. We also have with another pick in our second round. I'm hoping they'll go towards a tight end. I think they will go towards a tight end of Thaddeus Moss. I think we've all seen Thaddeus Moss in that with LSU. Tall kid, great pedigree. Of course, his dad is Randy Moss. I think he'll be a stud with us. Again, we've seen how tight ends can excel in our offense with Hooper there. But I think again Hooper's wanting too much money, so I think him and Devontae Freeman will both be gone. So it's going to bring in some fresh legs. I think both of those guys can start, whether it's Cam and Thaddeus. I think they can come right into the team and start for next year. That'd be great. Again, that'll be some fresh legs, and with our coaches being on the line. I mean, as much as he loves that coach, he still has a time limit. So if he has another bad year next year, I can't see him still being there. So with your job on the line, with fresh legs, I think my Falcons will do pretty well next year. I'm hoping for like an 11-5 record next year. I think that's definitely doable. And as far as fantasy-wise, of course, the best guys are, of course, Julio Jones is going to be a wide receiver 1. I even think Matt Ryan be a QB1. Both of those are going to be the studs in the offense. I can't speak of the secondary much. Keanu Neal's usually a pretty much good stud, but again, with his injuries, he's kind of risky. But I will speak of one sleeper, which I just spoke of a little bit ago. If they did get Thaddeus Moss at tight end, he could be a very good sleeper for fantasy at tight end position. Jeremy, you have any questions for me?
Man, it's actually amazing. I'm over here listening, and good job, by the way. And I'm over here writing questions down for you, and it's crazy how I'm checking off okay, I can't ask that question because he actually said it. I had the Thaddeus Moss fantasy value on there, but here's one for you. What record do you think that Dan Quinn will have to acquire? What do you think his floor is record-wise to keep his job for another season? Because I know a lot of us thought he was gone.
Exactly, but I think what saved him is that last rush at the end of the year, and because again they looked very good at the very end of the year with those last 3 or 4 games. It looked very good, and I think that helped to save his job. So it's perception is reality. So if they perceive that it looks pretty good or progressing in a sense, they're going to stick with them. But a losing record, anything less than 8-8, yeah, he's got to go. And they end up nothing less than second in the NFC South.
Okay.
I will give New Orleans a chance to be number 1, but anything less than 2 in the NFC South, if Tampa Bay or anyone else beats us, no, you got to go.
That'd be bad.
Yeah, it's been long enough.
I just have one more question.
Sure.
So I know you talked about the draft. Where would you personally, especially as a Falcons fan, like to see with their first pick? Or would you rather see them slide offensive side or defensive side?
The defensive side.
Okay, you want to see that, and you want to see that as an edge rusher?
Edge rusher, because I think we were definitely lacking at that last year.
Yeah.
And again, I think we spoke on one of our last podcasts that defense can help solidify that offense, because again, I think that they have a lot of the weapons already on the offense, so they need to really amp up the line on the defense.
Gotcha. Cool, man.
Mr. Andrew.
Yeah, buddy. What is the solution for this Falcons defense? What is it going to take? The offense has the juice and the mojo to get the ball downfield, to score, to even up the game, to take the lead, to do whatever they got to do. The Falcons offense can support themselves, but what is going to be the key factor in getting this defense back in the game so that the Falcons can actually start winning?
What I'm thinking is, of course, health-wise. Let me start there. Health-wise, again, we had a lot of injuries on the secondary last year. Again, one of our top players, of course, Keanu Neal, was hurt past couple of years. So health-wise, let me start there. Is going to be the number one thing. Stay healthy. Secondary has already been pretty strong. But again, if we get an edge rusher that can really get to the quarterback, I think it's going to help speed up their offense as far as the opponent's offense and help us out, because again, our secondary is strong. So with that hopefully there be some turnovers and create that kind of situation. So definitely our defense and getting that edge rusher and getting to the quarterback. Whether it's split schemes or edge rushers, it's got to be something to get to that, to help speed that offense up so they can make mistakes.
I can dig it. I know you guys got Grady, what's his name? Grady Jarrett up front, and that dude is dude's a beast. I really like him, but you got to secure that edge. You're right, and I completely agree.
Yeah, I've seen that. We've seen a lot of edge rushers make an impact in the NFL last year. Whether it was Jordan, whether the Smith brothers from the Green Bay, we've got Bosa, of course. So when we're speaking of a lot of these defenses, we're speaking of these edge rushers that's coming at these. And when there used to be maybe one or two in the league that was dominating, I mean, we're seeing a good 8 right now that could be, very strong for these teams. So hopefully we can be one of those teams that get a guy that can make an impact for our defense.
Make sure to follow the 3-Point Conversion host on Twitter.
Blue at Rastalion1131, Jeremy at Checkerboard J, Andrew at Jedi Quarterback.